I've never personally seen ghosts or anything that would make me believe that there was ghosts, but I've not also likewise seen anything that makes me believe there are not ghosts. And I was raised in a very conservative religious background, which supported the idea of holy ghosts, which I kind of consider to be like an approximation of spiritual ghost or some sort of manifestation of a ghost. But yeah and no. It's possible, but I don't deny that it's not possible. So
The stories, yeah. Like, why are they relevant to the students?
Well, I know the residence hall ones are important because, you know, the students live there, so they probably want to know if there was a ghost in their dorm. And a couple of the academic buildings, like Potter and them, it's relevant to them because they're going to be up there sometimes. I mean, they may not be up there at night, but, you know, it's always just fun to hear about. And it's fun to tell stories, and it's just very interesting.
Do you think that's why the students mostly tell them? Is just because they're fun to tell?
Mm-hmm. That's why I tell them.
My sister said one time she saw footprints going toward the elevator, and then the elevator kept moving up and down, the lights flashing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've heard one about an RA who got killed in an elevator shaft in one of the dorms. And that sometimes you can see wet footprints on the hall leading to the elevator. Apparently the elevator was broken. He went to look in there, and either he fell or the elevator fell on him, and he died in there.
The elevator in Barnes Campbell had a habit of getting stuck, and the two elevators were right next to each other, and so one of the RAs had become quite good at stopping the elevator, stopping one elevator, prying the doors open, leaning through the shaft, fixing the wires, and then coming back out and starting the elevator back up again so where it wouldn't stick. And he had, it had happened again, so someone had called and he had gone down there and someone had forgotten to stop the other elevator, so he pried the doors open, got into the shaft, and the elevator started back up again, and he was crushed. And so that is cause for some of the strange elevator mishaps that happened in that building. There was an RA that lived on one floor and had a habit of walking up to the next floor just because there were less people to take a shower, so he had taken a shower, was coming back downstairs, had his towel on, still dripping wet, walked to the elevator, doors open, he stepped in, and there was no elevator, and he fell down the shaft. And so they say that on the anniversary of his death, you can still see wet footprints leading from the bathroom door to the elevator.
In what situation do you think the students tell the stories?
Maybe if people are asking about interesting stories about campus, they might bring up a ghost story or two. Because my sister was wondering, you know, what's so interesting about Western? And I was like, well, we have like 15 ghosts.
Why? I mean, what have you...
Well, I haven't had any personal experiences with them, so I don't think I really can believe in them. I'm also a psych major, so that kind of contributes to that I don't really believe that they exist, that it's either people imagining stuff or it was the wind or...
My sister told me that there was a mental patient from an institution that had gotten loose, and he attacked some girl with an axe in her dorm.
Are there reasons that students may believe that one building may be more haunted than another?
Well, I think the reason that a lot of students thought Schneider was haunted was because it was closed down, and it was just so dark over there. There was no external lights, there was no internal lights, nobody ever went in the building. So when there's an empty building sitting like that, that's really old, I'm sure people are bound to make up stories or believe that there's ghosts there and stuff like that. I've heard about ghosts in other buildings, but you don't hear about it as much because people are living there now, and it's not as spooky.
Yeah.
So.
Have you heard any of the other stories around campus? Or
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the
Most famous would probably be the one from Schneider Hall, which is a dormitory recently remodeled. This particular story is incredibly fun. Two RAs were staying alone in the building over fall break. I think everybody else had gone. And they were on opposite ends of the floor. Axe murderer had escaped from the jail where he was being held, which is right downtown, a few blocks away. Had come up to campus to find a place to get out of the storm. Crawled in through an open window on one end of the floor and scared the one of the RAs that was there. She screamed. He swung, landed the axe in her skull. And apparently he was frightened and ran. She crawled down the hallway to the only person on the floor, but the RA at the other end of the hall had been so terrified, she refused to open the door. And you could hear you could hear the girl, crying and screaming for her to come out and help, and was clawing at the door trying to get some help. And they said the next morning that she was found outside the door, axe still in her skull, blood everywhere, nail marks on the door. And so they say that during spring break, it's actually spring break, you can still see, when the lights are just right, you can still see the pool of blood on the floor, and the scratch marks are still there on the door.
Any final thoughts or anything?
I'm just surprised that there's so many buildings on campus that are claimed to be haunted.